Yes, good evening everyone. Okay, so today's ED topic is there any link between monsoon and the food inflation? Okay, we can expect such question on this topic, especially in GS3 paper. Okay, there can be question in GS1 also, as we are talking about the monsoon phenomenon, but here we are not going to talk about geographical phenomenon of monsoon, the climatic phenomenon. Rather, we will try to understand the link between how the monsoon proceeds over the Indian subcontinent and how it impacts the food grain movement, and we can say the prices, in general prices. So why it was in news? First of all, very good, tomato prices. ठीक है, तो बहुत सारे मीम्स और बहुत सारे जोक्स भी हुए उसके ऊपर, एंड वी नो दैट द सिचुएशन रिगार्डिंग टोमेटो. ठीक है, सो we have to understand that why suddenly there is increase in prices of certain food products. Okay, and we will try to understand about tomato first in this part, and thereafter in general food inflation. Okay, we will try to establish a link, but we will understand that there are some factors beyond this link also which are contributing to food inflation. Okay, yes, good evening online students. Okay, so what we'll do, first of all, context part is there. Thereafter we'll try to understand reasons for prices of tomato in recent time, the context aspect. Thereafter we will try to understand what are the overall reasons for food inflation, and here we will try to understand the natural aspect, and here we will link monsoon, but we will try to also go beyond this. Artificial causes, man-made causes, we can say. Thereafter we will try to understand the implications, impact of food inflation, challenges, what government of India is doing to deal with this, what government measures are being taken to deal with food inflation, and thereafter way forward what further can be done. This should be the sequence. Question will revolve around this. Okay, some data, some facts we have added in the ED booklet also. Those who are watching this online on YouTube, in the description you can download the PDF of this content. ठीक है, जो PDF आपको दिया जा रहा है यहाँ पर ED booklet के लिए. Okay, so the context is, we know that tomato prices more than 200 per kg recently, sudden hike in the prices, although now they have moderated to some extent. ठीक है, मैं खुद ही जो है वीकली मार्केट में जाता हूँ, तो मैंने ये खुद पर्सनली ऑब्जर्व किया हुआ है फिनोमेनन पिछले 2-3 वीक में. ठीक है, सडनली एक वीक में आपको टोमेटो मिलता है 30-40 रुपये किलो, और दूसरे वीक में मिलता है 200 रुपये किलो. ठीक है, मतलब 7 या 8 दिन के टाइम पीरियड में इतना ज़्यादा प्राइस बढ़ जाता है कोई भी आर्टिकल का, एंड इट रिमेन्स अबाउट 200 पर केजी फॉर 1 or 2 weeks. देन नाउ इट इज़ मॉडरेटेड. ठीक है, मॉडरेटेड मतलब क्या है कि अभी 150 या 100 रुपये उसका है, 40 पे नहीं आया है अभी भी. ठीक है, आई विल टॉक अबाउट दिस फेनोमेनॉन विच इज कॉल्ड एज नॉर्मलाइजेशन, जो क्रूड ऑयल प्राइसेस के ऊपर भी होता है. यस, टोमेटो प्राइसेस. नाउ व्हाई? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लेट्स टॉक अबाउट रीजंस हियर. व्हाई? एनी आइडिया अबाउट दिस? Yes, interact, online students, you can participate. Why suddenly prices of tomato were increased? Any idea? Yes, one of the cause was disease spread. ठीक है, मैं उसको तीसरे नंबर पे लिखूंगा.
Crop management, crop production management.
Crop production.
The governments are not able to maintain the economy is going to be problem.
सीक्वेंस में लिखेंगे. Okay, so erratic weather. What happened in some of the northern state in the months of May and June? There was unseasonal rainfall. Okay, and because of that, crop loss, crop failure, one of the reason. Yield was very less. First part. Now, when we say demand supply mismatch, what happened? Let me tell you, in the months of April, May, or June, when the cycle of tomato harvest completes, generally in May and June month. So, when the tomato was being harvested by the farmers, all farmers harvested tomato the same time. What happens because of that? Supply increases. But हम क्या टोमेटो ही खाते हैं क्या? Are we eating tomato every time, 3 times a day? No, demand is not there, but supply is very high. What happens to the prices? Price decreases. So in initial time, tomato was sold like 20 rupees per kg. Initial time of May month when it was being harvested. तो सारे फार्मर्स ने सब बेच दिया. क्या किया? सारे फार्मर्स ने सब बेच दिया. ठीक है. तो whatever the tomato was coming in the market was in full supply. तो prices were very low. Now what happened thereafter? Monsoon started and there was speculative hoarding. ठीक है. इससे क्या हो रहा है कि अभी टोमेटो का सप्लाई नहीं आ रहा है. ऐसा बोलते हैं ना, ऊपर से. कहां से? फार्म्स से. Okay, yes, of course, because already all the supply is given to mandis. It is sold. ठीक है. अब कुछ जो भी बचा हुआ है मंडीज में, ये आर्टिफिशियली होर्डिंग करके रखा है. एंड नाउ वी कैन से दैट सडनली इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू डेज, मतलब जब सप्लाई ज्यादा था तब डिमांड नहीं था, एंड देयर आफ्टर व्हाट हैपेंड? डिमांड इंक्रीज, बट ये सप्लाई कर नहीं रहता है. ओके, सो दिस मिसमैच was kind of artificial, but to some extent disease spread. और disease का नाम क्या है? Yes, a particular virus. Let me tell you the name. ठीक है. ये आपको Zoom लिंक पे अटैच किया हुआ है, शॉर्ट नोट. ये आपका 1 पेज नोट रहेगा. इसके लिए सारी चीजें कीवर्ड्स एक ही पेज पे रहेगी. राइट. सो द नेम ऑफ द डिसीज टोमेटो मोज़ेक वायरस. नाउ स्पेशली इन महाराष्ट्र, दिस पर्टिकुलर वायरस हैड huge impact on the yield of tomato in Maharashtra. Okay, so total crop failure happened, and this virus is very deadly unless we can say it is, the crops are given the pesticides and all these things on time. Otherwise it completely result into crop failure. So disease was, we can say, one of the major reason. And thereafter we talk about high rainfall और वो सब चीज़ें जो मैं शुरू में बता ही रहा हूँ कि unseasonal rainfall, excess rainfall, that affects, we can say, harvest. During harvest generally the crops do not require rainfall. There should be dry weather. ठीक है. But it resulted into loss of. Understood? So these 3 major reasons you should write in your answers. Fine. ठीक है. So I was talking about normalization phenomenon. Okay, what happens in normalization? Let me give you the example of petrol. So when the petrol prices were increasing from 80 to 100, it crossed 100. So there is symbolic mark 100 के ऊपर चला गया, तो सारे एकदम टेंशन. फिर सब गवर्नमेंट को बोले कि क्या कर रहे हैं आप, या ऐसे टाइप का है ना. सो what happens because of that? When there are increase in prices of petroleum, that affects the prices of all other goods. Why? Because that is basically important for transport. Transport increases, prices increase, input cost increases, and that's why the retail prices of all goods increases. So that is basically resulting into overall inflation in the economy. Now what happens, this is dependent on global supply demand, the prices of crude oil. Now let's say the global supply of crude oil increases, so automatically the prices should come down, but they did not come down. At that time the taxes were very high and the government was basically using that tax money for dealing with COVID-19. ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट ने टैक्सेस कम नहीं किए उस टाइम पे, जब प्राइसेस कम हुए क्रूड ऑयल के तो पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट्स पे टैक्सेस कम नहीं किए, बट दैट रिजल्टेड इनटू 100 से नीचे आ गया. अभी कितना है पेट्रोल? इट्स लाइक 96, 98 per liter. Has it come down to 80 like earlier? But we are not worried about it now. This is called as normalization. अब ये टोमेटो भी ऐसे ही 50-60 के ऊपर सेटल हो जाएगा, देखना, उसके नीचे नहीं आएगा जनरली. इसको बोलते हैं नॉर्मलाइजेशन. एंड दिस इज डन थ्रू स्पेक्युलेटिव होर्डिंग और वी कैन से दैट आर्टिफिशियल प्राइस इंक्रीज. ओके, सो basically certain crops are very sensitive to this part, demand supply. Certain जिनको बोला गया है, क्या बोला गया है? Top. Which are these crops? Tomato, onion, potato. Okay, tomato, onion, potato. They are very sensitive for this demand supply mismatch. And there is speculative price rise for these three. ठीक है, and they are also essential for our in daily life. So and that's why we can say that the price inflation or fluctuations. Now let's talk about overall reasons for food inflation. Okay, and there the natural aspect, let's talk first about that. Overall reasons, let me talk here like this. Or let me explain from the notes itself. Is it visible, online students? Is it visible? Okay. So what happens in overall price rise? ठीक है, तो ठीक है, यहाँ पर मैंने ऐड नहीं किया हुआ है, पहले मैं उसकी बात करता हूँ. Okay, let's talk about overall reasons. First of all, मैं यहाँ पर ऐसे लिखता हूँ, reasons और challenges में आप confuse हो सकता है, तो don't worry about that. Okay, first of all I will talk about natural, man-made. Reasons, factors, all these things are same. Okay, so man-made. First of all, reasons. So erratic monsoon or rainfall, unseasonal rainfall. Now this result into crop failure. This result into lowered supply of food grains. Lowered supply of food grains. ठीक है? First thing. Second, natural diseases. Again, low yield reduces supply. Natural. Okay. Natural factors. Thereafter, let's talk about man-made also, जो prominent है. What are the man-made reasons? First of all, the problem with supply chain management. Okay, there are a lot of hurdles in the supply chain, especially for food products. Now here I wanted to show through one diagram and how the price rises in any particular food product. ऐसा आंसर में आपको ड्रॉ करना है. You have to draw this. It is more effective. Let's say the Okay, farm produce at farm. It is produced now. Now hereafter what happens? Either it will be stored near the farm, or thereafter it is transported. Okay, it is sorted also many times by the farmers at the farm itself. Okay, any kind of, let's say, other ingredients that are there वो remove किए जाते हैं. Thereafter it is transported. Now where it is transported? It is transported to mandi, nearby mandi or APMC, agriculture produce market committees, nearby mandi, especially these are at district place. Okay, so what cost is getting added here? The farm is selling that produce. Any particular contractor or intermediary will transport that to mandi, or the farmer himself is transporting that. The manual labor and transportation cost. Manual labor and transportation cost. That cost is getting added here. Okay, a farmer is selling that here in mandi. Now what happens at mandi? There are several services and fees. पहला तो मंडी फीस होती है. कोई भी प्रोड्यूस मंडी में लाने के लिए मंडी फी भरनी पड़ती है. Thereafter there are charges for grading, standardization, to check the standardization of raw material or food products. This is done here at mandi. They have the equipments. कौन सा फूड ग्रेन क्वालिटी का है, कितने क्वालिटी का है, यहाँ डिसाइड होता है. ओके, सो दैट दोज चार्जेस विल बी देयर. नाउ हियर देयर विल बी सम मिडलमैन आल्सो और ट्रेडर्स. ओके, एंड दे बाय दिस प्रोड्यूस फ्रॉम मंडी इन बल्क. उनको होलसेलर्स बोलते हैं. अब वो आता है यहाँ पर होलसेल ट्रेडर्स. Wholesale traders. Again, the cost of let's say labor and the packaging and the transportation, further cost is added. ठीक है. Now from wholesale traders it is going to retail traders, and from wholesale we can say retail shops. Here there will be packaging in small packages, packaging cost, transportation cost, manual labor, again all these things. ठीक है. तो गनी बैग्स रिटेल में नहीं आता ना, वो पैकेजिंग करके फिर सॉर्टिंग करके फिर रिटेल शॉप में आएगा. So all this cost is getting added and we are paying ultimately here MRP, minimum retail price. सॉरी, मैक्सिमम रिटेल प्राइस, मिनिमम नहीं. ठीक है, उसके ऊपर वो नहीं बेच सकता है. ठीक है, फाइन. सो यू हैव अंडरस्टूड नाउ व्हाट. नाउ दिस इज सप्लाई चेन. ऐसे याद रखना है. सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट इज योर सिलेबस टॉपिक, GS3 पेपर. नाउ व्हाट आर द हर्डल्स? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये चैलेंजेस यहीं डील हो रहा है, जो चैलेंजेस की बात कर रहा हूं मैं. द चैलेंज हियर इज दैट लैक ऑफ post harvest infrastructure at farms. Farmers do not have appropriate storage infrastructure near their farms. This result into almost 30% of wastage of food grains at the farm itself. Okay, we don't have appropriate, and that's why farmers are ready to sell their produce at petty cost to these intermediaries or traders of mandi, क्योंकि उनके पास स्टोरेज के लिए जगह ही नहीं है. आया इमीडिएटली दूसरे दिन, अब the trader or the intermediary will try to bargain with the farmer, and basically he is exploiting the situation of farmer. ठीक है. See, no, there is no such regulation. Basically, it is a kind of demand supply thing, no? And yes, there is MSP for certain crops, but that MSP is given by the government. Okay, and that MSP The compulsory procurement that government is having is for two crops only, rice and wheat. For other crops, generally the market price is high as compared to MSP. That's why farmers sell there. But farmers generally do not know about the price discovery, where in which mandi there will be good price. ये knowledge नहीं होता है farmer के पास about market. Okay, so what they do, they generally tend to sell in the nearby market only, and that's why government launch e-Naam, so that the appropriate price discovery is there for the farmers. We will talk about that in government measures. This is one. Second, lack of cold storage. What about tomato? Let's say the farmers in India are having cold storage. क्या उन्होंने ये सब कुछ बेच दिया होता immediately, सारा का सारा प्रोड्यूस? ठीक है. So lack of cold storage, post harvest infrastructure, these terms should be mentioned. Now hereafter we should also mention that farmers are having lack of information about market. Okay, they are not having information about market where they can have the true price discovery for their produce.
Sir, these intermediaries are registered, right, sir? They are
See, yes, some of them are registered in APMC, but some of them are informally working. ठीक है.
so there should be regulation if they are registered.
There should be. That's why the term is there mentioned in our syllabus, APMC reforms. It is under political clutches, we can say. This is very problematic thing. It is under state government regulation. First thing, it is state subject. Agriculture is a state subject. Okay, and that's why what happens here is the central government is having very less role here. Politicization of APMCs is there. We'll write this in challenges here now. Problem with APMCs. Here you mention that problem of lack of connectivity, transportation, roads नहीं होते हैं, railways ठीक से, मतलब last mile connectivity नहीं है इंडिया में ठीक से. Okay. So you can mention that. Now problems with APMC, you can write here. See, everyone write this down because I haven't mentioned all these details in those notes. So for your understanding, you can write it down. See, APMCs, there is problem of politicization. Okay, all local MPs, MLAs, they have some kind of influence there, and they are trying to influence the decisions in APMC, this Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee. Okay, so there is nexus. There is nexus. Then the problem of intermediaries. So intermediaries are buying the produce at very low cost. Thereafter they are selling at very high cost to wholesalers. This is how price rise. Okay. Then here poor standardization. ठीक है. Not all APMCs have good equipments, quality equipments for standardization of this, understanding the standards of the let's say farm produce. If suppose farmer is bringing all the produce here, and if the APMC is having good standard equipments, and if the farmer is checking the quality and gets the certificate, the farmer can sell that anywhere in India on e-Naam platform. If they get to know that it is good quality, they will have good price for its produce. But farmer is not aware about it at all. This is the problem. Okay. So this infrastructure, APMC infrastructure, problem of infrastructure, problem of politicization. So ये दोनों चीजें आप लिखिए यहाँ पर.
Sir, is it mandatory to get certified to sell products at e-Naam?
No, not at all. Register. Farmers can be registering themselves, individual. Okay.
So quality certificate isn't required, right, sir?
If they do it, it's better for them actually. Now, who will buy from the farmer when the farmer is showing that they have good quality produce? Then the private companies, let's say these food outlets in the cities, they will buy directly when they have standardization, standard raw material. They will buy at a very high price also. This is the problem. Okay? So, yes, thereafter it is fine. Now, what happens here? These wholesale traders, what they are doing? They are buying in bulk and here they are hoarding. The problem of hoarding. It comes here. See, wholesale traders are having good storage facilities. They invest in storage facilities basically. Cold storage, warehouses, everything they are investing in that because they know that their produce can be any time the price can increase in the market. Now here the government needs to intervene and it is doing that through Essential Commodities Act 1955. Essential Commodities Act 1955, which talks about certain limits on stocking of those essential products, including certain food grains. Understood? Okay. So, this is, we can say that one of the major problem is between these two. Okay, because once it is coming to retail shop will not keep with himself. He will try to sell immediately because that person is not having storage facility, retail वाला. वो क्या बोलता है भैया ऊपर से ही नहीं आ रहा है माल, है ना? Retail वाला, vendors, street vendors, what they say? माल नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है? Basically the problem is with this. Now we have understood the challenges. Now these are also influenced by global supply chain disruptions. Like we observe in last 1 year because of Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, Russia-Ukraine war. The best example is sunflower oil. We import majority of the sunflower oil from Ukraine, but because of war, that supply was affected. Edible oil prices increased in India. Second good example, fertilizer. We largely import fertilizers from Russia and fertilizer is important input cost for farmers. Automatically the prices got increased because input cost increased. Along with that, the crude oil prices, let's say petroleum product, again overall it contributes to food prices. All these are global factors, external factors. Now we cannot control that. Global factors. Okay, but we can manage them. Control is different thing. We can manage these things from time to time and government is having certain interventions. Let's talk about that. But before going into interventions, let's understand the implications. ठीक है? तो impact क्या है? Now you tell me who is going to get severely impacted because of food inflation? आम आदमी, not the party. है ना? आम आदमी, not the party. ठीक है? Common poor people. ठीक है? Farmer तो है ही. Farmer is part of this, we can say. But the consumer, who is going to pay for it? Try to understand this. See, farmer has got less price for his produce, but he has got the price, no, at least. What about who is going to consume? ये तो daily basis पे वो खाने वाला चीज़ है, ठीक है? Wheat है या फिर जो tomato भी है, of course. All these are a part of daily diet. And the poor people, वो टोमेटो को देख के, जैसे मैं बता रहा था कि मैं वीकली मार्केट विजिट कर रहा हूँ सब्जी खरीदने के लिए, तो what I have seen every time in last 3 weeks when I visit that vendor who is selling that tomato, every household woman who is asking the price to that vendor, कितना है भैया टोमेटो का प्राइस? तो वो बोलता है 200 रुपये 250 रुपये नहीं लेना है. This was the situation. Okay, so I am telling you that जो चीज़ हफ्ते में 2-2 3-3 किलो खाई जाती है, लोगों ने खाना बंद कर दिया. Why? Because it is not affordable. Okay, so it is going to have severe impact on the poor people, common people. ठीक है. Then we can also talk about farmers. Why? Because farmers are not getting the true price for their produce. बीच के ही खा ले रहे सारा. ठीक है. दोनों एंड में जो है producer and consumer, they are sufferers, right? So this one. Now overall how it affects impact on economy also. ठीक है. Because inflation is not good for, high inflation is not good for any economy, है ना? And yes, food price inflation is part of overall inflation in the economy, and that will affect the policy decisions, especially monetary policy decisions. They have to contain the inflation. They will increase the repo rate. There will credit will be costly. सारा economic growth problem करेगा. Okay. So in implications you write like this. Of course, again the currency depreciation and all these things, if it remains for a long period of time high, तो ये सारी चीजें हैं. Fine. So now we have understood this. Let's talk about the government measures that are put in place already. Quickly go through this. उससे पहले एक चीज जो आपको समझनी है. And what is that?
So it can cause social unrest as well, right?
It can, of course, especially poor people who are facing the problem, they may, they may get unrest, or in that particular section of society, there will be unrest. Rich लोगों को क्या फर्क पड़ता है बताइए. ठीक है. पुअर पीपल को फर्क पड़ेगा ना. जो सब्जी हफ्ते की वो 200 रुपए में पूरी खरीद ले रहे थे, 1 किलो सिर्फ टोमेटो मिल रहा है उससे. ठीक है. So that is actually concern. Now, the one more angle related to food inflation is this one. The demand supply mismatch. The broader factors which are contributing to the demand and supply. Demand side issues like population growth. No, so population is growing. There are more mouths to feed. So of course there will be more demand for those products. And there should be consonant supply also. But what is happening to supply? Declining productivity. Overall growth in the agriculture sector is now almost towards plateau. ठीक है. Stagnant होते जा रहा है. इतना growth नहीं हो रहा है. Yield कम है. And then there are erratic weather conditions, climate change. ठीक है. जहाँ बारिश होती थी वहाँ नहीं हो रही है. जहाँ नहीं होनी चाहिए वहाँ बारिश हो रही है. Okay, so that will result into crop failure, erratic weather conditions. Okay, and trade restrictions. Government is adding to these vows because of certain trade restrictions. Okay, so this result into distortions. Then of course there is increase in consumption due to certain dietary changes. क्या है dietary changes बताओ.
Like we are preferring few crops like rice and wheat. We are preferring. We are excluding millets from our diet.
Right.
Like the diverse range of cereals are getting eliminated from our food intake.
ठीक है. और
So we are preferring towards more salad.
उससे तो अच्छा है ना. फिर सलाद की डिमांड बढ़ेगी.
New tomato.
अरे वो
Non-veg.
हाँ ठीक है. चिकन मटन के बिना आजकल लोगों को जमता ही नहीं है खाना. नाउ यू टेल मी हाउ इट इज अफेक्टिंग दिस. व्हाट इज द फूड फॉर चिकन? फूड फॉर चिकन, food grains. Now what happens here? They are eating more food grains. For 1 kg of chicken, they are eating lot of kgs of food grains. And then we are eating 1 kg of chicken. Okay, this dietary change is also problematic. Then fast food. डिमांड फॉर प्रोसेस फूड, अब वो प्रोसेसिंग में काफ़ी सारा वेस्टेज हो जाता है, ठीक है. तो वन शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट these are also some problems here. डिमांड इन चीज़ों की वजह से बढ़ रहा है, स्पेकुलेशन है. बायोफ्यूल प्रोडक्शन, yes, certain crops like corn is there, sugar cane is there, or maize is there, so they are used for biofuel production like bioethanol. Okay, so of course वहाँ पे उसका डिमांड बढ़ रहा है, ठीक है. गवर्नमेंट इज ऑल्सो प्रोमोटिंग बायोफ्यूल प्रोडक्शन, सो demand supply mismatch is happening because of this.
In that case only substandard crops are.
Yes, substandard, but demand is increasing, no, production के लिए.
So is there any provision like the foods or cereals that are going to be get wasted that should be used, or the one
See,
that is going to be consumed shouldn't be?
अभी तक तो ऐसा नहीं है, but yes, government is prioritizing in that manner. Like food crops are not part of this. Okay, but non-food crops are there, and in addition to that, certain food crops which are not affecting the supply, ठीक है, जो मतलब प्राइस राइज को नहीं कर रहा है, वो सारी चीज है. बट इन फ्यूचर इफ सपोज इट इज प्रायोरिटाइज बाय द गवर्नमेंट, तो क्या होगा, सप्लाई इस साइड चला जाएगा, ठीक है, और खाने के लिए जो आएगा उसका प्राइस बढ़ेगा. सो दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम नाउ. Yes, it can be used. So that should be actually promoted. ठीक है. Now what are the steps that government is taking? First of all, Operation Greens. What is it? It is promoting certain price sensitive crops, production of price sensitive crops, priority wise. Government is incentivizing, especially top. Okay, tomato, onion, potato, Operation Greens. Then Essential Commodities Act 1955, it is already in place, but the problem is with its implementation. Problem किससे related है? Implementation से related है. Okay. Okay, so what is the problem with implementation? The government employee goes for inspection for wholesale traders. Wholesale traders remove 500 note like this, ठीक है, और फिर वो बाहर से ही चला जाएगा. This is the situation, right? Nexus. अगर हमारे पास लॉ है, रूल्स है, उसका सही से इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है? नहीं आएगा प्रॉब्लम ना. इतना प्रोडक्शन है कंट्री में, वी आर ऑलरेडी सेल्फ सफिशिएंट इन ऑलमोस्ट मोस्ट ऑफ द फूड ग्रेन्स, ठीक है, तो ये प्रॉब्लम क्यों दिक्कत आता है अचानक से? द प्रॉब्लम इज लैक ऑफ इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. देन प्राइस मॉनिटरिंग डिवीजन इज देयर विद इन डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ कंज्यूमर अफेयर्स, ठीक है. सो दैट प्राइस मॉनिटरिंग डिवीजन इज कंटिन्यूअसली मॉनिटरिंग 22 certain crops which are price sensitive. Okay, they are sensitive to supply and demand, ठीक है. So this is good thing, and this particular division is planning to have one such committee, price monitoring committee in every district to monitor these crops. This is good thing. In way forward you can mention this. Okay, further effective monitoring. Then PM आशा, क्या है ये स्कीम? हाँ, yes. So this is basically Prime Minister अन्नदाता संरक्षण, क्या है ये? आय संरक्षण, ठीक है. Basically I am telling you essence of this particular scheme. This scheme was launched to ensure the price deficiency payment. क्या होता है ये price deficiency payment? Let's say the farmer is selling a particular crop in the market less than MSP. that difference will be directly paid by the government in the account of farmer, bank account of farmer. Price deficiency payment, ये काफ़ी इफेक्टिव है एक्चुअली, एंड दिस वॉज इनोवेशन ऑफ एमपी गवर्नमेंट that is implemented at India level by Government of India through this PM ASHA scheme. ठीक है?
There was one alternative, sir, right? One private like pilot project was there, right?
पायलट बेसिस पे ना, हाँ ये इसी का ही पार्ट है, पीएम आशा स्कीम ही इम्प्लीमेंट हो रहा है वो. देयर आफ्टर प्राइस स्टेबलाइजेशन फंड इज देयर for this purpose only. If suppose any particular food grain or let's say food prices of particular article is increasing, so government through price stabilization fund is directly buying that produce from the farmers. ये intermediaries वगैरह को सब bypass करके and it is let's say releasing that in the market. Price stabilization fund. Then buffer stock, yes, we are aware about buffer stock, PDS system. We learn that, okay, so Food Corporation of India is mandated to maintain the buffer stock, and from time to time the food grains from buffer stock are released to ensure price stability. What is the twin objective of buffer stock? Food security and price stability. एकदम क्लियर रहना चाहिए आंसर में लिखने के लिए हमें GS3 में. APMC, FCI, subsidies, everything is part of syllabus, and one way or other way they will ask question from these syllabus topics directly. Then export ban, like recently wheat export ban by to check the what you can say the prices of wheat, है ना, domestic supply affect ना हो इसलिए वो export ban करते. Now further steps are required. Why? Because the challenges like climate change, changing weather conditions, erratic weather conditions are here to stay and we cannot control them. Let's mitigate them, let's adapt to them. How? First of all, we need to ensure that there is crop diversification. The problem at present is that certain crops get more weightage or more, we can say that the farmers are favoring certain crops just to get more prices, but that is resulting into lower productivity, that is resulting into harming the ecological balance, excess exploitation of groundwater. All these problems are happening. Okay, like rice cultivation in Punjab or sugarcane cultivation in Western Maharashtra, this is resulting into environmental problems. So crop diversification or agroclimatically suitable crops should be grown in different parts of the country. Okay, so Planning Commission has given 15 such zones of India. Accordingly, there should be crop distribution or cropping pattern of that region. Then you can mention reforms in supply chain management. Just now whatever the problems we talked about in supply chain, deal with that, be it post harvest infrastructure, transport, cold storage, or we can say grading and packaging, separating, screening facilities for all these in mandis, APMC reforms, mandi reforms, all these should be mentioned there. ठीक है? Then talk about the further improvement in the price monitoring. This should be done at decentralized level, at district level. Price monitoring. Then syllabus topics. What are the syllabus topics? E-technology in the aid of farmers. This is syllabus topic. So better weather forecasting services for farmers because of erratic weather conditions are there. You mentioned that. Then mechanization of farms, ये farming, ठीक है, ये सारी चीजें. Then promoting GM crops, although it is controversial, इसलिए मैंने end में लिखा है. पहले ही नहीं लिखना है GM crops. Okay, so GM mustard अभी काफी controversy में था. BT ब्रिंजल वाला तो मना ही कर दिया है. but you can mention that it is being implemented all over the world. ठीक है, it is having good productivity, तो yield उसके ऊपर. Then climate resilient agriculture practices, use these words in your answers. Now what is climate resilient agriculture practices? Which are adapted to the new realities, new changes that are happening in the climate. Okay, if suppose there is coastal, we can say incursion of sea water in the coastal areas, there should be promotion of sea water tolerant, salt water tolerant rice varieties there. Okay, or if we are talking about let's say changes that are happening in the different parts of the country, ठीक है, कहीं पे रेनफॉल जो है अभी काफ़ी कम हो गया है समझो, तो वहाँ पे क्या होना चाहिए, ड्रॉट प्रोन varieties of crops should be promoted. Such kind of changes are going to happen. So drought prone resistant, pest resistant, saline water resistant varieties of crops should be promoted. Okay, then climate resilient, water resources. So here you promote the micro irrigation, ठीक है, so sprinkler, drip irrigation, this should be promoted. Climate smart agriculture बोलते हैं इसको, precision farming and all these things. Okay, so we have talked lot of things about this syllabus topic now. ठीक है, तो हमने कॉन्टेक्स्ट लिया टोमेटो का, बट एक इम्पॉर्टेंट सिलेबस टॉपिक हमने डिटेल में कवर कर लिया है. एंड आई गेस आपको किसी भी तरीके का क्वेश्चन आया तो यहाँ से हो जाना चाहिए.
Sir, why tomato price was rising this year especially?
हाँ, in the first part of discussion we discussed this. Okay, you were late. So 3 important reasons we can mention. ठीक है, erratic weather conditions in May and June month in some of the northern states. Okay, excess rainfall happened and because of that loss in the harvest. Okay, second important is demand supply mismatch. Initially the demand was actually constant, but initially supply was very high, later on supply reduced. Okay, because of that prices were falling initially, then immediately they were rising. And third is the crop loss that had happened because of a certain disease. ठीक है, तो जो टोमेटो मोज़ेक वायरस जो है, टोमेटो मोज़ेक वायरस, this has resulted into crop failure in Maharashtra that affected supply of tomato. Online students, any question? Yes, those who are watching on YouTube, you can also mention in the comment box. Okay.
Issues in supply chain.
Issues in supply chain. Okay, so supply chain you can draw like this in your answer. Okay, so all these food products are getting produced or harvested at the farm. So the problems at the farm are basically lack of post-harvest infrastructure, storage facilities are not there, or cold storage facilities, and then the problem of connectivity, transport, roads are not appropriate. All this leads to increase in the prices and all. Then at mandi, the problem also, one of the problem is that lack of market information for their produce. Okay, farmers are not having this information. So what they are doing, there is herd mentality among the farmers in the village. कोई एक दो फार्मर बेचना शुरू कर दिया एक जगह पे, बाकी भी वहीं पे सब. Because the others do not know about the reality. They start trusting the villagers. उनके जो है ना, उनके ही trust करते हैं. Okay, this is the situation. Ground realities को जानिए आप. Right. So then at problems at APMC, we know that APMC reforms are required because of these things. Politicization, nexus. Then there is intermediaries. These are also major problem. Why? Because they are buying at low prices from the farmers, then they are selling at high prices. Lack of infrastructure, the standardization, grading infrastructure at mandis, this also becoming problem. Then the problem at wholesale traders, they are holding this speculative trading, जिसको बोलते हैं, speculative trading. Use this term in your answers. Okay, then there is problem of we can say that इसके आगे तो ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है आपको, जो हम रिटेल वाला जो है, ठीक है, जैसे मैंने बताया कि वो तो बेचना ही है रिटेल वाले को, तो ठीक है, डे टू डे बेसिस पे, ठीक है. सो दीज आर द प्रॉब्लम्स इन सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट एंड यू कैन मेंशन द गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशंस एंड ऑल दिस. यस, ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स. ओके, थैंक यू कार्तिकेय. फाइन. क्रॉप इंटेंसिटी कैसे इंक्रीज करेंगे अखिल? See, we have a basically less land availability. Land is very, scarce resource in India, especially for agriculture purpose. Already we are diverting agricultural land to, non-agriculture purposes and all. That is problem. Okay, so and already we practice largely intensive farming. North Indian plains, intensive farming होता है ना वहाँ पे, intensive agriculture जिसको हम बोलते हैं. The problem is not that. Problem is with also land holdings. Fragmentation of land holdings. That is one major problem. Then lack of mechanization. Okay, 80 to 85% of the farmers are small and medium landholders. They are not having sufficient financial resources for buying the machines and all these tractors and what you can say that combine machine and all for harvesting. ये सारी चीज़ें मैटर करती है. ओके, सो फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम वील कवर द रिमेनिंग टॉपिक्स ऑल्सो. जब भी न्यूज़ में होगा ना, ठीक है, तो वो सारा कवर करते चलेंगे. फाइन. ओके देन लेट अस स्टॉप. ओके.